Welcome to Payoff Pitch Action Network's Major League Baseball Betting Podcast. I'm Collin Whitchurch. I'm joined today by Kyle Murray of Roto Grinders for a quick look at the Monday MLB slate. It's kind of a small slate. This second to last Monday of the season, 2 weeks from yesterday. It's the last day of the regular season. We've got 9 games today. Couple games with playoff implications. One really big game that we'll jump right into it. Actually, our best bet today, both of our best bets are on the game, kind of the series of the week. We have the Rangers and the Astros getting going. The Astros are suddenly clinging to their playoff lives. The Mariners have won 9 straight. They've taken over the AL West. The Astros are 1 back of Seattle still, but just 2 in front of the Rangers, 2.5 in front of Cleveland. Rangers, Astros get going right now. Obviously, a Rangers sweep here would be devastating for Houston. Losing 2-3, and they'd be leaving here with a 1-game lead with 9 games to play. So it's pretty interesting. There's not a lot of playoff drama. We've talked about this over the last week or two. Not a lot of playoff drama across the league, but the AL West is giving us something to talk about, something to focus on here. These last 2 weeks, Kyle and I both have our best bet on this game. So I'll go ahead and go first. I think the Rangers take the opener here. Jack Leiter against Jason Alexander. If I were a bigger Seinfeld fan, I'd make some sort of George Costanza joke or pun. That show just doesn't dominate a large enough portion of my brain. It's too cluttered with Simpsons nonsense. Jason Alexander, George Costanza on the mound. Alexander's a veteran, journeyman, 32 years old, made his MLB debut in 2022 with the Brewers. Toiled around the minors until this year. He made a couple of appearances with the Athletics earlier this year. Got claimed on waivers by the Astros in May. All he's done since joining Houston is throw 60 innings with a sub-3 ERA. It's been very needed for the Astros, but it's also not sustainable. He's running a 256 BABIP. He's cut his walk rate in half, which is really notable. But there's not really anything else that's changed in his repertoire, in his approach, in his mechanics. I just think we're looking at some small sample size noise here over a 60-inning sample. The Rangers have been striking out at a bottom 7 rate since the trade deadline. And they take their fair share of walks. They're about around league average in walk rate against right-handed pitching. The validity of this hot stretch for the Rangers as a playoff contender is worth questioning. They finally got it together after losing basically all of their top players. You know, the Rangers were seen as a playoff contender by a lot entering the season. They've underperformed to a strong degree for the better part of the last 4 months or so. And at the end of August, they lost Corey Seager, they lost Marcus Semien, they lost Evan Carter, they lost Nathan Eovaldi, who had been their ace Cy Young contender. They're all injured, and now suddenly they go on this hot streak and are on the verge of potentially making the playoffs. For this day, I think we're getting good value on fading a pitcher due for regression against this team of ragtag injury replacements. Jack Leiter's been okay for the Rangers. I'll let you talk about him in a second because I know your bet is focused on him. The biggest thing for him, for the Rangers' sake, is that he's getting through this season relatively healthy. He's had some growing pains, some ups and downs, but I do think he's the better starting pitcher in this matchup, so I like the value on the Rangers here at plus money. I got them this morning at plus 108. I would play them down to probably about minus 105. Kyle, you've got a bet here that I don't know if you're fading the Rangers necessarily or if this is just one particular area of a player prop you're looking at. Does lead to a nice anti-correlated parlay. We can throw the odds out for that, but let me get your thoughts on this matchup and the prop you're betting on Rangers Astros tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said, and I would say that for me, I still think Leiter, I would agree with you, is the better starting pitcher in this game. I think I'm just going to be fading his strikeout production in this one, taking the under 5.5 strikeouts. A little bit of juice to eat on this one is about minus 155 at a couple books, but a couple other books also have it at 4.5. We project him for right around 4.5 in our projections at Roto Grinder, so I do think that 4.5 number is just the better line. Leiter has been much improved this year compared to last. His power prevention is much better, and his strikeout rate is actually a bit better as well. But a lot of his underlying strikeout numbers have been pretty similar. 26% CSW this year. It was about 26.5% last year. So I do think we've just seen him improve his strikeout production against left-handed hitting, and that is kind of where his main improvements in his strikeout rate has come. But That won't come into play too much today, as he's only projected to play to face 3 left-handed hitters in this Astros lineup that is, dominantly right-handed. It's been pretty consistent with that for the majority of the season. And a lot of these guys also have low strikeout rates. 8 of the 9 guys in this lineup have qualified numbers, and of those 8, 7 hitters with a 20.5% strikeout rate or lower against right-handed pitching. So overall, I think Leiter will get it done and get through this Astros lineup without giving up too much power. I'm just not expecting too much strikeout production. And 6 strikeouts is a lot of strikeouts. So I think the under 5.5 has a lot of value just based on the market and where some of these other books have that 4.5 line, and then where we project him as well.
All right, so Rangers money line for me, Jack Leiter under 5.5 strikeouts for Kyle. You want to throw a little parlay together? Leiter can go under. Rangers can still win. Very, very possible, obviously. A little non-correlated parlay there at DraftKings if you want to throw that together at its plus 260. Also, be sure you're following Parlay Express in the Action app. It'll be tracked over there as well. And hey, go on Twitter at Playbook. Ask for that SGP. They'll throw a bet slip your way as well. Very handy. Let's move on to our favorite underdogs. Underdogs plus money props, what have you. I've got a money line underdog I'm going with, and you've got a plus money prop that I'm very intrigued by. Obviously, it gives me an opportunity to go over 0.5 White Sox references on this podcast, as I know everyone is always paying attention to. We've got Orioles White Sox tonight in Chicago. Kyle Bradish against Sean Burke. You're focused on an Orioles hitter and a specific prop. Nice little plus 155 juice here. Tell me what you're going with tonight.
Yeah, going with Gunnar Henderson, 3+ hits, runs, RBIs, a little bit of an alt line there. His base prop is actually 1.5 here, which I wouldn't have been surprised to see this come in closer to 2.5 on his base prop. But so if you want to just also take the over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, obviously love that play as well. But for the plus money prop for me, I'm going with Gunnar Henderson. I think this is a good matchup for him against Sean Burke, who has really struggled over the last 4 or 5 starts. And when you look at Gunnar Henderson's production so far this season, 209 ISO, 380 WOBA against right-handed pitching. But the thing is, over the last few days, I think he's gotten a bit unlucky. He's right around that 12% barrel mark, 56% hard contact rate. So he's barreling the ball up, he's squaring it up, still just getting fairly unlucky from a just bad bounce standpoint at the plate over the last month or so. But overall, just really like this matchup for him here against Sean Burke, especially in a little bit of a, I think Camden to this White Sox stadium is fairly equal, but I do like lefties in this park as well. So I'm taking Gunnar Henderson over 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs on that alt line plus 155.
All right, Gunnar Henderson. Kind of funny, the Orioles, nobody's really thought about them or talked about them since they got off to that terrible start. Obviously not playoff contenders. So many of their young players have underperformed this year. Gunnar Henderson has underperformed too, and he's still going to put up close to a 5-win season on Baseball Reference WAR. Obviously, he had a 9-win season last year, so it's still like a disappointment considering he's only 24 years old. But not a bad play. Not having a bad season by any means. Just not having a season that I think a lot of people expected. I like that prop tonight on the south side of Chicago, where hitting is always up in that ballpark. My money line underdog here is, I won't spend too much time on this. I'm taking the Nationals here. It's a math play for me more than anything. Really just a disgusting bet. Mitchell Parker's one of the worst pitchers in baseball. Among players who are primarily starters and have thrown even 100 innings this season, the only one who's been worse by Baseball Reference WAR is Jack Kahanowitz of the Angels. Only 3 qualified starters grade out worse than him by Fangraphs WAR. One of them actually his teammate, Jake Irvin. Spencer Strider's he's had a concerning first season back from the internal brace he suffered last season. He's shown some flashes of brilliance combined with bouts of erraticness. The Nationals are a team you'd think he could carve through, but I kind of want nothing to do with Strider until next spring when he could be a stealth buy low candidate after another winter removed from that procedure, that Tommy John adjacent procedure that he had. Primary thing here for me is that I love to fade the public in matchups like this based on our pro report, which you can find in the Action app the time of this recording. 72% of the bets are on the Braves tonight, but 73% of the money is on the Nationals. So whopping 45% difference tells me that big money from sharp season bettors are all over the Nationals tonight. So I would like to join them. I just think the math plays out from a plus money perspective. So that's the side I want to be on a majority of the time. I'll roll with the Nationals here around plus 140. The NFL season is here, folks. I don't know if you've noticed, if you live under a rock, if you're just a baseball fan, that's completely understandable. I don't blame you at all. But with NFL season returning, the Action Network app has plenty of exciting new features for you. And to get the most out of the Action app, you'll still want to be an Action Pro subscriber. Only Pro subscribers get real-time pick alerts from experts like Sean Kerner, Chris Raybon, Sean Zarillo, Kyle Murray, and our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our Pro projections powered by Kerner and our predictive analytics team. To celebrate the return of football, we've got a special offer. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and get $20 off the annual price with the promo code PAYOFF20. So don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use code PAYOFF20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. Also, if you're a football fan, Kyle, who you're listening to today, is going to be on our live NFL Monday Night Football preview show, Action Island, this afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern, I believe. Be sure to tune in to Action Network's YouTube channel to get the guys are going to build a couple of SGPs for tonight's Monday Night Football doubleheader, double dip for Kyle. Busy day for him. Let's get to our final bets of the day and then get out of here. Kyle, you are on a strikeout prop. I'm on a strikeout prop. I'll let you go first here. This is actually one of the better matchups of the week. Also, Phillies Dodgers in Los Angeles, potential playoff preview. Doesn't have a ton of implications in terms of like making the playoffs. Obviously, the Dodgers are still making sure they're fending off the Padres in the NL West. Their lead has grown a little bit here. They now are up 2.5 games. The Phillies are actually only 2 back now of the Brewers for the number 1 seed in the National League playoffs, home field advantage for the National League. So that could be kind of interesting. I don't know how hard they're going to push themselves to go for that. They're still going to obviously get a bye if they don't catch the Brewers. They're 5 ahead of the Dodgers or so for that 2 seed. But Phillies Dodgers tonight, Ranger Suarez against Emmett Sheehan, and you're targeting a pitching prop here.
Yeah, I'm taking the over on Emmett Sheehan's strikeout prop 5.5. Sheehan's a guy who's I've always liked his stuff. He has struggled with a little bit of the volatility, giving up some power, especially to the left hand side of the plate, and that could definitely be a problem tonight against the Phillies. Obviously, you're going to have Schwarber, Harper, even guys like Marsh and Kepler. So there are some lefties to potentially deal with. So there's some volatility runs wise, but strikeout prop wise, I like the spot here for Sheehan. Since we've started to see him get more stretched out, longer leash deep into the game, he's looked pretty good. 4 straight games, clearing this number, gone over this number in 5 straight games. He even did this 5 starts ago or 5 appearances ago on just 41 pitches. So that just speaks to the level of upside that he has on an efficiency standpoint to get some strikeouts. I do think he could potentially give up a few runs here, but it's clear the Dodgers are, okay with him pitching deeper into games. He's gone 6 innings or more in 3 of his last 4 starts and 7 innings in 2 of his last 3 starts. So working deeper into games, it's always a plus. He has the strikeout upside built into his own repertoire. So while the Phillies aren't necessarily a high strikeout matchup, he brings enough of that upside to the table on his own. Does have a higher strikeout rate against righties. So ideally we'll get a lineup with a few more righties, but nonetheless, a 26% strikeout rate against lefties, 29% strikeout rate against righties. Certainly can get it done against both sides of the plate. So I'm taking the over on Sheehan at 5.5 strikeouts today.
Love that prop. I was looking at that one this morning when I was doing my research, trying to pull some bets. I saw Sheehan's prop, and he's not a pitcher I've followed too closely this year. And I saw 5.5, and I was like, "Ooh, this seems like an under." And then I started digging into it, and I was like, "This is not an under at all." You mentioned the innings thing. I think even more notably, and obviously these go hand in hand, is that they're letting him throw more pitches per start. He's thrown at least 90 pitches now in 4 of his last 5 starts. You go back to July, he wasn't hitting 80 pitches in a start. So, yeah, the Dodgers are really letting him pitch deeper into games. I think he could be a kind of a stealth weapon for them come October, depending on how the rotation shakes out behind Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, etc. So, an over on Sheehan for strikeouts for Kyle, and I'm going with a strikeout over 2, a much more disgusting one, in my opinion. I'm going to Reds Cardinals. Reds still clinging to their playoff lives. I can't imagine their playoff odds are much higher than about 5% at this point. They are 2.5 back of that last wild card spot. Zach Littell is who I'm backing tonight. It's worth noting that this morning some books are listing Littell's K prop at 4.5 with the over at plus money. Others are listing it at 3.5. I like Littell's over at 3.5, but not 4.5. If your book lists 4.5, you can probably look at the alternate market 4+ Ks. That should be good. Right now, the best prices out there on over 3.5 are minus 136 at FanDuel, minus 137 at DraftKings. We'll see if it moves in our direction or not. Littell is obviously very much not a strikeout guy. It's evident by this line. He gets by with control, pitching to contact, and being fortunate that all of those home runs he allows are solo shots. One of the most home run prone pitchers, if not the most home run prone pitcher in the majors. Despite not being much of a strikeout guy, I'm confident Littell can clear this number. Against the Cardinals, he struck out at least 4 batters in 18 of his 29 starts this year. And the Cardinals are actually striking out at the second highest rate in the majors against right-handed pitching since the trade deadline. So I'll ride with Littell here to get 4 strikeouts tonight. Again, over 3.5 Ks if your book offers it, or 4+ Ks in the alt market, which most books should have. I'll play this to about minus 145. All right, that'll do it for today's episode of Payoff Pitch. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to tail some of the bets from today's episode, look for the quick slip links in the episode description. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app and leave us that 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, check out the Action Network Discord. There's a link in the episode description of this podcast. Also, if you're on Twitter, I mentioned it earlier, we have a great new feature. If you see a bet from any of your favorite Action Networks or anyone on Gambling Twitter, you can now tag at Playbook and tell our bot to build you a bet slip at the book of your choice. It'll build it out for you with a quick slip link that opens right up to the sports book of your choice. So keep an eye out for that tool at Playbook on Twitter. Again, hop on Twitter right now, say, hey, Playbook, give me a parlay of Rangers money line and Jack Leiter strikeouts under, and it'll pop up with a link, take you directly to your sports book. You can place that bet. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Payoff Pitch. For Kyle Murray, I'm Collin Whitchurch. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast, and good luck with all your bets.